as a senior in high school that you're living on your own, I'm guessing, at that
Hmm.
point.
Hmm.
And what were some of the kind of the threads that led you to that point? Because
I
that's
just,
big.
yeah, I just knew that I knew better for me. And that I felt the circumstances that I was in, the household that I was in, it was that particular place was the antithesis of supporting me. And so I felt like they were just trying to pull me down like crabs in a bucket. And
Mm.
they didn't have the family that I was living with at the time did not have my interest at heart at all.
Wow.
And
Was this your
so
mom or was this extended family?
this was my father and his wife.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I decided, I excelled in school, straight A student, valedictorian, ASB president, all the things. I had lunch with the
All the
principal
things.
every week, and
Oh
so
my
I
goodness.
applied to colleges myself. I took all the AP classes. I paid for all of it. I had saved $10,000. And so at that point, I had already made up my mind. I was going to get into colleges. I was taking care of all of that. And so
Mm.
what was back in the day, this was back in 1998, what was $350 in rent a month? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like that's how much
You
it
were,
was. I
and
remember
where were you living at the time?
this was Central California, Bakersfield,
Oh,
California.
wow.
And so I just wrote out the rest of my senior year. I got several academic scholarships,
As you
and
would.
and then one day I just left.
Mm.
I remember leaving a note, and
You did the note.
I left a note, and I had taken a loan out for a car. And I had an apartment, and then I was gone one
And
day.
this is like massive because this is
It
massive,
didn't
but
feel massive at the time. It just felt like something necessary, it just like it was the
well,
next step in evolution of my life.
and, and it's so interesting though because we have kind of similar trajectories. Like I had to grow up really fast as well, and I so see so many parts of myself in your story. Just, my traumas were obviously different. They were just through loss. And yours were obviously through loss in a different way. And it's so interesting, the resiliency and the grit that comes out of that, because for you, you were like, this is just what I've been doing. What do you think where it was the attribution to that? Because you said one of the through lines or the themes was that you knew how to hustle even as a little girl.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I remember a defining moment. I had left my mom at 12. I took her to court, emancipated. And
At 12
uh
years old,
mhm.
how did you know and have the bravery to step away
Hmm, that's
from the caretakers that were supposed to really be the adults to care for you?
That's like such a good question. I mean, I had been knowing that I needed to wait until I was 12 for a while. And so
Wow.
I was just biding my time really. And then opportunity finally came when I was 12. I had been to so many schools, and schools would catch on, and we'd move to another school would catch on, we'd move to another school. And so at one point things just kind of exploded, and it was the school found out, and it just was just it was an opportunity for me to finally go. And then went to my father's, thinking that household was more structured. And again, I always knew I was going to go to college. Like, there were just some things that, again, downloads that I got from an early age, despite not being smart, or just whatever was being told to me. They were things that had been told to me that I knew needed to happen, or that led to my ultimate, to create some level of success, to get out of my situation. And
Yeah.
so I thought that maybe my father's place was gonna, because of the structure,
Hmm.
and my stepmother had a son who did really well in school, and they seemed to really care about his
Hmm.
education. And so it seemed like it was a better environment for me to potentially work my way into an
Hmm.
adult life and create some level of success for myself. That just felt like that was what I was supposed to do. And although no one, I mean, it wasn't, believe me, no one was trying to push me in that direction. Like, I don't know where the download came from, because I moved there and I remember they sat me down after a year and they were like, we are within a couple of months. And they're like, we don't care what grades you get. We don't care how well you excel. We don't care about any of those things. We don't have any expectations of you. We just need you to behave. We just need you to act right in this household. I was coming from a place where things weren't so great. And so I didn't really know how to be.
Right.
And I maybe thought that they didn't mean it. Maybe that they were going to really invest in me. Maybe they were going to put some stock in me, but no, girl, they meant that shit. They meant what they said. They didn't put stock in me at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I had a defining moment before 13 years old. I had moved there when I was right before 12. And
so you emancipated from your mom and then moved there with your father. Wow. Okay.
And gave myself about a year to see what was up. And what was up was no better than where I'd come from. Wow. And if anything, it felt worse. There was a emotional and mental abuse there that I was not prepared for. And so I remember sitting down in my bedroom one day before heading into my 8th grade year. And I had like a come to Jesus moment with myself. And I sat down and I counted how many days I was going to be there. And I said, you've got to turn this around. Like, you're your only hope. Like, no one's going to help you out of this situation but yourself. And I was like, well, how do I do that? I remember asking myself, like, at the time I was a DNF C student at best. I had always not been very studious.
But you're 12 years old, having this like come to Jesus
this like, girl, you got it. It's like this, like, it ain't safe for you here. You got to get yourself out of here. Like, how do you do that? At the time, I wasn't allowed to talk to my mom anymore. I wasn't allowed to call her, speak with her, anything. So I had no way of talking. And they were manipulating anyone around me, my neighbors, my school, my teachers. So I was really stuck. And so I sat down and I counted down. It was like 500 days. I forget how many days. It was 1,000 days or whatever it was, however many days between now and I graduated from high school. And I was like, you've got to get really smart very quickly, because you've got to be the person to get yourself out of here. And so I was like, well, how do you do that? How do I go from this? I've never been an A student. I've never been a studious. I've been told my whole life that you're not smart. How do I turn this ship around? And I was like, you have to read your way out of here. And so I started reading a book a day.
At 12 years old.
And I turned everything around. I went from a C and D and F student to a straight A student in a year.
Just by your own internal resilience and willpower.
And then I just counted my days down. And I studied every living second of the day. I studied and studied and studied, and I persevered. And I any opportunity that came my way, I pushed for it. I was in every extracurricular activity you could imagine, because I didn't want to go home. Right. And so I was at school from like 6:30 in the morning to like sometimes 7:00 at night. And then I'd study all night afterwards. And so, and rose to the top. I graduated with a 5.0 GPA and went off to an academic scholarship off to college. And there I was gone. Poof. Senior year. The moment I could, I was gone.
See you next time at the Brave Table.